Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Ask Matt Lloyd. So we are here at the Titanium Mastermind in Phuket, and I'm here with Joan Reed, one of our Titanium members, and she has the question for today.
Matt, how do you block out distraction?
Okay, great question. So to be honest, I still sometimes struggle with that a little bit today. I, like many people, I get distracted. I go on Facebook and I want to check out all the photos and see what everyone's doing. If I go on YouTube, then it's a disaster. You know, sometimes 30 minutes, an hour later, I think, what have I got done? I've been watching all these silly videos. I've got to get back to work. So I still struggle a little bit with it, but the way I focus on it, and this is what we were talking about today in the session, is I have an enormous TV screen sitting right in front of my desk, okay? And this is hooked up to my dashboard. It basically tells me how much cash has the business brought in so far in the month, what are we on track to do, and are we on track to beat our previous record month or not? And one thing that I demand of myself in my business is I want to have record months. Every month I want it to be a record month because then the business is growing. If your business is not growing, then it's dying, okay? Because a business is never stagnant, okay? It's either one way or the other. So I want to make sure that every single month we're having a record month. So if I see that our sales are a little bit down, for example, that because I'm paying attention to the numbers, that then triggers a thought in my mind that, okay, I've got to do something to bring in the sales. This is not good. We've got to bring up the revenue. We've got to make that business move forwards. So I think to myself, okay, what can I do to bring in more customers and bring in more sales? Maybe we'll do a webinar, or maybe I need to send out an email to my list. So by always paying attention to how the business is actually doing based on the numbers, it draws my focus back to the important things. And the important things in the business, our role as the CEO, as the Chief Marketing Officer as well, is the marketing, okay? Bringing in those leads and converting them. That's ultimately what we get paid for, and that's where our focus needs to be. So that's what I do. I just focus on the numbers, and that keeps me focused. The other thing that I do is I use the public, whether they're my leads or my customers, to keep me accountable. So I will schedule things in so there's a deadline even before I know how I'm actually going to do it. Let me give you an example. Most people, especially when they're brand new to this industry, let's say they want to do a webinar. The process that they go through is, okay, I better think of the topic, I better create all the slides, and so they start to do that. And 3 weeks goes by and they haven't got it done. Can anyone relate to that sort of process? A few of you. Yeah. You don't do it that way, okay? What I do, and what a lot of people in this business who do really well do, is I will go and schedule that webinar. I will invite my entire list or a big portion of my list. And if you don't have a list, you just go and invite people on Facebook, okay? Just invite the public. And some of them will actually register. So now you have a deadline, and now you have social accountability. So you're still going to get distracted, but as that deadline approaches, you're going to start to think to yourself, geez, I better get to work, okay? I don't have much time left. They're expecting me to do this webinar. There's a deadline in place, and if I don't do it, I'm going to look bad, okay? So there's some social accountability there. So it forces you just to get the job done. The very first product I ever created in my business, and that was a major, major turning point. That was in 2011. That first product, I never would have got that done if I hadn't done it by live webinar and actually scheduled in the webinar and then invited my whole list. That's what I did. I said that I was going to do a webinar every single night for 8 days straight. I invited my list, and not that many people registered. It might have been about 10, 15, not many, but maybe 3, 4, 5 people actually showed up to every webinar. So that meant that usually I would get into the office in the morning and I would think, oh, I have to do this webinar tonight. I've got to teach module 1 of this course, and I've done nothing. And for the next 8 hours, I was just in panic mode and like, oh, I've got to get this done. And I was just throwing it together, and I had a laser beam focus then because I had this deadline coming up. And if I didn't get it done, there were going to be consequences. After 8 days, I was very tired. Okay, it was quite exhausting, but I got the job done. Okay? Because there was a deadline and there was social accountability. So what I do in my business is I use those two things to keep me focused. doing an event like this, for example, we schedule all of our events, you've seen, all next year, the next 12 months. They're all scheduled out. So we've set those deadlines. There's no procrastinating. There's no moving them back a few weeks if we're not ready. Okay, those are the dates, so we have to be ready. So it forces me to focus, and that's what you've got to do as well. That's how you avoid all the distractions.
Right. Thank you.
Okay?
Thanks very much.
So it's like you short-circuit human nature to procrastinate. We all have that to some degree. We all want to procrastinate, me especially, okay? But you put yourself in a situation where there's consequences in the deadline, and then it just forces you to get it done. All right, so if you have a question for me, you can go to askmattlloyd.com and feel free to ask me anything you like, and we'll speak soon.